I have a new project to make a little video on, and if you're a bit of a diesel heater connoisseur, you will know what these are about. This is a Webasto water diesel heater, and these have been around a long time. They do have quite a high failure rate with regards to the motherboard overheating, etc. But the water heater is something I want to delve into. But can I take the controller items, the motherboard, the screen, and all the other stuff and incorporate it into that? We're going to find out. I need to have a little spruce up, but let's get into it. If this is one of the first videos you've seen, this is a low budget channel. I've got a box as a workbench and I'm sat on a hop up and there is mess. If you don't like mess, maybe this isn't the channel for you. I have got a diesel heater plumbed into a radiator there. There is a video about that already on the channel and there's one more to follow. So, super quickly, this is a Webasto water diesel heater and this lives on a vehicle. Now, the reason I like these so much is because I used it last year to heat up the pool for the kids. Kept it at 30 degrees, kids were happy, I was happy, all is good. They do have an issue where they overheat. I believe the fan stopped spinning or something, and this has actually broke one of the 3-prong resistors, transistors, diodes. I'm not too sure. I do actually have some of them. I could probably fix this. But the only downside to these, because they've come off a vehicle, they're not controllable. You can turn it on or off, that being the Rover 75 Thermobile Top Z or Top Z Webasto. You can turn them on, you can turn them off. Now, you do get these on a lot of vehicles, on Volkswagens, Volkswagen Tourans, etc. But they're controlled by CAN bus, so you can't use them away from the vehicle. If my idea works, we can use any of them, and there is a lot of them about. Now, the reason I'm trying this is because I want to be able to control this in the summer with the control, turn the heat up or down, set it to a timer, use it from a remote, and just in general, be able to control it rather than on or off. And you can buy these motherboards, but they're quite a lot of money. And of course, everything Webasto costs a lot. So the controllers are expensive. Everything to do with these is expensive. And everything to do with the Chinese diesel heaters is super cheap. This one was £60 and it did come with the red silicone gasket. So perfect for the money. Cheap and cheerful. Before some of you drop in the comments and say you can buy Chinese aftermarket water heaters, but I have seen online that they're a bit temperamental. So I want to see if I can make my own one. Plan is to use this whole unit, cut the plugs off, solder the plugs from the diesel heater, the air one, onto this, use the control board out of that, and all should be good. I don't know. You can simply buy a controller, a motherboard, and that would all work that. The only reason why I bought a complete heater is because I need the little plugs. The fan plug, the glow plug, and the other plug. If I had the plugs, I wouldn't have even had to buy the heater. This was £20, that was £60. And this heater and controller is the fine-tunable one. There is a Facebook page called Diesel Heater for Dummies, and a lot of the modern ones that have fancy controllers, you can't adjust the fuel-air ratio, and some of them have experienced carbon soot deposits coming out the exhaust. They've taken the heater apart a week later and it's completely full of crap, soot, build-up, and that's because there's too much fuel going in for how much air. Now, you can't adjust that, unfortunately. That is set from manufacturer. But if you get the earliest type of controller, you can go into hard settings and dial in the air-fuel ratio. That is what I wanted, because if it does work, I hope it works. If it doesn't, you won't even be seeing this video. But if it does work, but I might need to adjust the fuel-air ratio, hence the reason for buying that. Anyway, that's enough waffling. Everyone likes theory. Nope, practical rather than theory. I have the cases. Can I make that fit in here and look pretty? I don't know. Can I make it work at all? I don't know. I am going to run a little time lapse, disassembling that fixing it onto this, and I will get a few shots in between. Let's roll the time lapse. I've spent about half an hour finessing a few bits. Now this is the ultimate crudest way. I have soldered the wires on the glow plug because I believe they can go anyway, i.e. the wires either way round. But with regards to the motor, as in the fan, I've just twist wrapped them. Crudely, because I'm not sure what way it wants to spin. I have got the pump plugged in. I haven't spent long at all. Well, it powers up. So, I have just got a car battery down here for testing purposes. I just want to hear, before I spend too long, if it's going to work. Well, I can tell you one thing now. This control panel isn't the adjustable one, because on the picture there's only 3 fan blades. So that means we can't go into hard settings. Well, let's find out. Settings, settings. The 3 things you need to do is glow plug, the fan, and what I believed was a light sensor, but that was just pressed onto the cylinder head. So I guess it's not a light sensor. I believe it's a heat sensor. So I could mount it straight on the side. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Obviously it's not going to fire up because we haven't got the fuel line or any fuel line attached. But it should start, or start doing something. The fan is spinning on the controller. I can feel exhaust gases. Error 6. Oh, it didn't like that. I wonder what that means. Is the fan going the wrong way? Was the battery low? It didn't like that. Let me try it again. I may have to disconnect and reconnect. Well, that weren't the best start. It started good. I'm not going to touch the light sensor. I am going to watch the battery voltage. 12.3, 12.1. The glow plug's on. Okay. Is it to do with the glow plug it doesn't like? Are the wires the wrong way round? The glow plug's on. Fan's on. Okay. Well, the annoying part is, if I've soldered the wires the wrong way on the glow plug, I need to unsolder them. Can I just swap this plug around crudely, but effectively? No. Let me do a bit of fiddling to see if I can work out what's going on, because it does fire up, you've heard it. Let me see if I can get it to start, because as soon as it starts pumping the fuel pump, we know I'm getting somewhere. Let me have a play. A good bit of time has passed and I have been playing. I did successfully get this heater to fire up with the air controller, but it wasn't right. Literally, there was black smoke pouring out everywhere. You can change the fuel delivery rate, but not on startup. So when it was firing up, there was black smoke pumping out. The air fuel ratio with the air controller on this water heater was not right. I did video it, but for some reason it didn't record. So we're all stripped down again. And the way I got it to work, just quickly, it turns out error 6 is motor fault, but it wasn't that there's a fault with the motor. It was a fault in that there is magnetic pickups impeller, and there wasn't any on the water version, sits on there. So I did glue some neoadhesic magnets at 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock, and it was happy, no errors, started to fire up, lots of smoke. I don't believe that is the way. I've not given up on the idea. I don't like to give up. So my plan is I'm going to use the water jacket from the water heater. I didn't pay anything for this, so it doesn't matter if it doesn't go to plan. I need that to bolt on there to seal it off. And my plan is to cut right through the burn chamber, cut this same area out and weld that on there. Stick it on there. Is it going to work? I don't know. It will work if I can get it to seal up, but we shall see. I have looked at putting the burn chamber in, this, that and the other. Then we need a fan on. Basically that's going to go on there, but I need a part of that to seal it up. Once I start cutting, there's no going back. So at the moment I could still put that heater back together. £60 not wasted, but you don't know till you try. So while I play, I am going to roll another time lapse. I'm not giving up because that water jacket is pretty cool. Let's see. Well, I have been busy and we finally got it together. I have hooked it up to the radiator. It doesn't look pretty. It is not going to win any awards. Check that weld out. It comes from an aluminium spool gun attached to my welder. I would like to get a TIG welder one day, but that can wait for another day, another project. Anyway, it's crudely hooked up. And when I say crudely, I mean very crudely, but we're going to test it on the radiator. I haven't fired it up at all yet. I've got the water pump that comes with the Webasto, and I'm just going to hook it straight onto this jump pack here. And look, again, it is messy, but this is temporary. I have a very posh thermal imaging camera. Big shout out to my friend Pinch for lending it for this demonstration. 600 quid, snap on. Ain't cheap. We're going to time it. Obviously it's stone cold, and now if you're going to do a radiator setup in your house or a radiator setup at all, you do need to do some research because this is extremely crude. When water heats up, it expands, the same as anything. So if you haven't got a pressure vessel or an air tank or an expansion tank, the water inside the radiator is going to expand to the point it's going to burst a hose and you're not going to have a good time. I have got a little cap on the top and I filled the radiator maybe half full, quarter full. I'm going to leave the cap off so any pressure can escape. This is only a temporary setup. This will be going on a swimming pool, which is 4 by 2 meters. I think it's 3,000 litres. And in the summer, if you can get the pool to 30 degrees, you're doing all right. So I doubt, well, I know that heater will never get to the same temperatures that a radiator would. Otherwise, you'd be cooking in your swimming pool. So if you're going to do a radiator setup, do some research on what you need to do to make it right, or it could be dangerous. Obviously, make sure your exhaust to any diesel heater is plumbed outside. Don't have any flammable fluids or liquids near your heater setup. Temporary. Anyway, there is no time like the present. Oh, I need my other battery clamp. When I say battery clamp, I obviously mean vice grip. Now, I will be putting this on the kids' pool when the warmer weather comes. So if you want to see that in action, you will have to like and subscribe, or even just subscribe. And as soon as the warmer weather comes, I'll be making loads of videos on heating the pool up. And that's a home-built solar water heater. And that is a DIY homemade solar water heater that kept the pool up to, I believe it's about 28 degrees. That was no electric, no diesel heater, absolutely nothing. It worked perfect. And I'll be using both of them to keep the pool warm, and hopefully we can get it jacuzzi weather. But that will be in later videos. Anyway, I am going to crudely hook up my water pump, 12 volt, live and earth. I haven't even tested this yet, but because I've used the most important stuff of the diesel heater, I don't believe there's any reason why it shouldn't work. It's just how well it works. You can see my wire connectors are secure. Oh, and in the summer, I will be using this that's leaking water everywhere. That is an EGR cooler from a vehicle. Exhaust gases pass through there, and the water passes through there and heats up. I have tried this on the channel. There is a couple of videos. Check it out. This is brilliant. So this, incorporated with that, it's going to heat the pool up. Let me put that to one side. Before I fire it up, I'll tell you, let's push the button. Well, it's starting. So let's quickly check the time. 2:33. And how does this device work? Have I got to turn the lights off? It's got a trigger. Take it, I'll pull the trigger. 4 degrees. Use the left key. Oh, I don't know. Let me go closer. Calibrating. Blimey. Well, the heat range is between 0 and 8. And if I show you that, you'll see that the radiator is probably about 5 degrees. Let's leave it 10-15 minutes, see how we get on. Say leave it 10-15 minutes, but you want to hear it fire up for the first time like I do. Depending how hot this is going to get, hopefully my plastic cable tie holds. Glow plug, fuel pump. Yes. Well, it sounds like it's doing something. Exhaust pipe is lukewarm, and the temperature sensor, which normally goes on the combustion chamber of the air heater, I have crudely, you can see it's crude, strapped it to the exhaust because the burn chamber in the exhaust is about the same temperature, I believe. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Well, it's working. I can tell it's working because you can hear the roaring noise. So, time is, we've seen this already, 2:35. I'm going to leave it 5 minutes and we'll see how warm it gets. Well, that didn't go to plan. So as soon as I turned the camera off, I heard the diesel pump get a bit noisier. Turns out I must have moved my precarious fuel line and it sucked an air bubble up. So I reckon I lost 10 minutes bleeding the system out and firing it back up again. I have got it on setting 3, I believe. Now it's on 4. Did we start this at 35, 45? Well, I've lost 10 minutes. I easily lost 10 minutes. It's 4:56 or 2:56, sorry. And you can see how much fluid is in the radiator. So I would say it's been running for about 5 minutes in total. I know the time difference from when I showed you. I could have obviously taken this shot again and lied to you, but nope, not on this channel. This is real life stuff, and although I lost 10 minutes, it is what it is. I believe it's been on 5 to 7 minutes on heat setting number 4. And the bottom of the radiator is at 56 degrees. You can see where my water line is. So the back part is the burn chamber, that's the warmest part, and the heating element, or the water part, is very cool. Good tool, this snap-on thing. £600, I believe. Anyway, let's turn it up, because now it's controllable. Last year's diesel heater and last year's pool heater, I will show you at the end of this video, last year's heater, and it worked good, but it wasn't controllable. The Webasto, I couldn't control it at all. Now we're using the diesel heater. Let's turn it up to max and leave it 5 more minutes. About 5 minutes has passed, and that is hot. Let me show you what's going on. Bit of a crude way of doing it, but it should work. So the radiator, almost 90 degrees. And it's good, you can literally see how much water's in the radiator. That's brilliant, that is. The coolant passage, 60s, burn chamber, 140, and that's pretty good, because a burn chamber on an air diesel heater goes over 200. So the cooling is definitely absorbing the heat out of the burn chamber. The exhaust is pretty toasty, 120 odd. Water pipe coming out is 60. Water pipe going in is 86. That is absolutely brilliant. Sorry about my shaky footage. 90 degrees. That is getting kettle water. I'm going to slow this down. Yeah, that's brilliant. I think that's taken just over 10 minutes to warm up. Oh, nice radiant heat out of the radiator. That is hot. That is very hot. Welds falling down, air being sucked up the line. Oh, fuel lines come, all right, that's fine. Fuel lines come right out, that's fine, it's shutdown time. That was definitely a success. The water being pumped through here for the radiator, that is definitely heat soaking the heat out of the burn chamber. There's no way you could touch a burn chamber on an air diesel heater. So the thermal heat, that is doing such a great job. I believe this setup could run 6, 8, 10 radiators, no problem. It's heated that radiator up in what, 10 minutes? And that is hot. Obviously you'd fill your system right to the top. You'd have a pressure tank or an expansion tank, maybe a recirculating line. That's brilliant. If you wanted radiators in your off-grid cabin, look no further. I will put a quick picture. Let me put a quick picture of the Chinese aftermarket ones of these are. They're about 300 quid. Yes, they look very pretty and they don't look Frankenstein like this, but have heard of people have issues. Have you got one at home, one of the Chinesian ones? If you have, let me know how you got on with it in the comments down below. Because although this is good for me, I'm happy that is safe and it will do its job, but the missus might look at it and go, I'm not having that in the garden. So let me know if you've tried one of the Chinesian ones in the comments down below. That is absolutely pucker. Let's turn this off. As mentioned in the last shot, this is pool heater Mark 1 edition. It is very basic. It does look a bit better than the contraption we've got going on here. That is the early stages, the prototype, but you can make them look a bit prettier. So I made a very simple wooden box. We have got a power to switch it on, very simple, on or off. And again, the reason for making this one, we've got no heat control. We can't turn it down, we can't turn it up. Hence, we've made that one. Simple 5 litre can on the side for the diesel. With regards to power, it's simply live and an earth, on or off. Very easy, and this worked absolutely brilliant. We had this on almost every single night for the whole summer last year, and it kept the pool above 30 degrees. And in the UK, you lose so much heat overnight that that's when I used it to keep the temperature up. And during the day, I used the solar water heater. I didn't make any videos last year on it. It was testing phase, but all of it worked, so I will make videos this year. If I quickly whip the side off, this is completely original. This is completely original. It is a Webasto Thermo Top Z or Top C. That is the model number, and I believe they're the only ones you can use because the ones on the Volkswagens are controlled by CAN bus, so they're not usable unless you're very clever with CAN bus. They come from a BMW or a Rover 75. Now, if you're wanting to do something like this, either for radiators or a pool heater, jacuzzi, anything just to heat water up, then these are the good option. But I had to buy 2 of these because both of them turned up broke. The first one had a faulty motherboard, the second one had a faulty fan inside. So I had to cobble 2 together to make one. But it is completely original, original exhaust, the water pump, air intake, completely basic and unmolested, unlike that one. Super simple setup, and again, it worked absolutely brilliantly, but I just wanted a bit more control. I wanted to turn it up to heat it up a bit warmer, or I wanted to slow the pump down to cool it down a bit, or leave it ticking over. Apart from that, it worked absolutely brilliant. I won't be changing this at all because it works so well. It's so simple. I will just leave this as it is. And then the Mark II edition, which will be this, I will mount it in a box very similar. And then I will be using the EGR cooler. If you remember in the thermal imaging camera, how hot the exhaust was, there is so much wasted potential, wasted heat, that the exhaust gases from that one will be going through the EGR valve and coming out the bottom, and then we're going to run the water lines through the other side of the EGR just to scavenge a bit more heat. Now, there will be plenty of videos on this. We're in the UK, so as soon as it gets to late May, early June, I will be setting it up and making plenty of videos. I'm looking forward to getting into it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how warm we can get it this year for not a lot of money. Because obviously everyone wants a warm pool, everyone wants a warm jacuzzi or hot radiators, but the prices of electric and fuels nowadays doesn't make it cost effective. So if we can do something to save some money and have fun at the same time, it's got to be worth it, right? Plenty more videos to come, but I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.